Yeah, I mean, we're going to start with one that I was actually anticipating quite a bit, or at least very curious about, which was Challenger, starring Zendaya, directed by Luca.
Guadagnino.
Yeah, Luca Guadagnino directed this one. Italian filmmaker who I haven't seen everything of his. I have seen Call Me by Your Name, and wasn't a big fan of that myself. I know a lot of people loved it. He's been pretty much on the come up. I know a lot of people that loved his Suspiria remake and Bones and All. A lot of people liked as well. This one starring Zendaya. It's a tennis film, basically. I mean, we're following Tachi, who's played by Zendaya throughout her career, as she befriends, we'll just say befriends Mike Weiss, who plays Art in the film, and Frank, Josh O'Connor plays Frank in the film. It really is
Frank again.
this sort of like, I don't even want to say love triangle, but kind of between these three people. But also, I honestly think the better word here might even be friendship.
Let's call it frenemies. How about that?
Frenemies. That's a really good way to put it. I like that. And
you know why I use that term is because Zendaya was actually in a movie with Bella Thorne called Frenemies.
never watched it. Weird callback there. Yeah, that was like Zendaya Mach 1, so to speak.
Those Shake It Up days.
Yeah, no, this is definitely Zendaya Mach 2 we're getting here. Or Mach 3 maybe even, because boy,
3,
does
yeah.
she step it up in this one. I thought Zendaya's performance was phenomenal. I think that this is her best to date, I think, in terms of like
she carried.
blending into a role. She's always been so great lately, but blending into a role, she just like blended into this one the most. Like, this is the role that I was watching where I most forgot I was watching Zendaya in a film. You know what I mean? And that's the thing I loved about her performance. Sorry about these other two guys, Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor in this film, because holy shit, what superstars these guys are. And I've seen Mike Feist in what was the movie? West Side Story, the Steven Spielberg rendition of that. And he was so good in that. Not nearly to the point that he stood out to me here. Chemistry between these two is just top notch. It's A+. And I gotta say, honestly, it made me recall, not that the movie is a copy of this, not by any stretch. It did make me recall another Italian filmmaker, Martin Scorsese, when I was watching these two, because their performances and their chemistry and the way that they are together reminds me of watching young Harvey Keitel and young Robert De Niro in Mean Streets, in one of Scorsese's early films, before they were anybody and they were very unknown. And I think that we're seeing maybe a repeat of that here. I do hope that these guys' careers take off, because damn, they are so phenomenal. And I like that Zendaya lets them, even though she's the biggest star in the film, definitely lets them have the spotlight. She's great in the movie, but she's not stealing the show away from these guys, right? Yeah, it really is, like Jose said, it's almost a story of frenemies more than anything. And it's really interesting to see where their lives go, especially because this story is told in a very non-linear way, and you're kind of starting in one place and then you kind of get to another place and you're like, how did we end up there? But I also think the film did a really good job of like letting us know how we got to certain places. For myself, I would say I didn't necessarily like need all of the title cards that they put up, or not title cards so much, but like where they would put the text of the dates, like to let you know that, hey, this happened then, this happened when. It's one of my things that it's like, okay, I don't like when the movie treats audiences like morons. We could tell because of the hairstyles and things of that nature. I didn't mind them doing it once, but like after that, you can kind of like let that go. And I didn't really think it needed all of that for the non-linear storytelling. Other than that, this is one of the best movies of the year. Easily. Like, if we're taking that one issue out of there, that's my only issue. I think this is one of the best films of the year. I thought Luca directed the hell out of this thing. Again, I thought the three performers were incredible. I think the score from Trent Reznor is insanely good. It's some of the best I've heard from Trent, honestly. It's utilized so well. It's very unique. Not that Trent's scores are never unique. They always are, but like definitely super unique here. And I think that the dynamics, again, is what makes it. Like, and I felt like this whole time, it felt like not only that I was observing the lives of these three people, but almost like I was invading them. And that's kind of what I really enjoyed about it. Like, the film makes you feel like you're invading the lives of these three characters, Tashi, Art, and I keep wanting to call him Hank.
Patrick.
He doesn't look like a Hank. I don't know why I want to call him Hank, but he's awesome. Josh O'Connor, wow. I was blown away. I think the usage of shooting on film was, very complimentary to this. I mean, that's obviously just big amongst a lot of Italian filmmakers anyway. It definitely speaks to my sensibilities as a viewer, because I really do enjoy the look of the film. And I think that just helps us so much. There's a twist at the end I thought was just so brilliantly played. I wouldn't even call it a twist, just like a reveal.
Yeah, no,
it's
like
brilliantly played.
all the people that I've talked to were all like, yeah, dude, that reveal there at the end was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We kind of knew we kind of knew that reveal was coming in a sense because, of a scene that happened kind of before then. At least I knew, or I was expecting that reveal to come at some point during the third act. But still, when he did it, and to see Mike Feist, Art's reaction was, oh man, they're just too good.
Right. And
Honestly.
I would say, like, this movie plays well with a crowd for multiple moments, but like there's that one in particular was amazing because the movie, like, it's not something you're going to catch right away, and the movie gives you time to catch the reveal. And when everybody catches it all at one time, the collective gasp that comes into the theater is incredible. Like, I loved watching this one with the crowd for that reason, and other reasons too. There are other moments that are just incredible, whether it's moments that make people laugh or just make people whatever, if you're in awe of something, or just it's incredible with the crowd, man. And I was so blown away by this entire movie, man. I was not expecting this movie to be this good. I thought it might be pretty good, and that's because Zendaya is kind of on a hot streak right now, but I didn't think it'd be this good. I mean, to me, in my eyes, she owned March and April because of Dune and now this film. Like, she really is just killing it right now. Yeah, Dune and this movie are now like my top 2 movies of the year. Like, I think that for now, this one's going to be a hard one to top. I'm not saying it won't be top. It was pretty damn awesome.
The obvious Zendaya is, like, from what I'm seeing, she's like the female chameleon of Hollywood right now.
Yeah.
Like, the way that she just blends into any genre and any character, from her character in Dune to this character here in Challengers as Tashi Duncan, it just speaks volumes to how talented she is, honestly, and that she could play literally any role that's thrown her way. Absolutely carried this film, but not too much to the point where Mike and Josh's characters didn't shine either. For because Josh O'Connor, I'd never really seen in anything, but obviously Mike I saw, and they just like gave it their all. Like they just performed so amazingly in their chemistry with Zendaya. Like, all 3 of them together, their chemistry was absolutely phenomenal, flawless from beginning to end. Like you said, the score was incredible, but what I thought was even more impressive was the cinematography. Man, like, some of the shots were just like beautifully done, honestly. Like, especially like in the third act, there was like certain shots on the tennis court that were just like so impressive, honestly. And
oh yeah, they make tennis look cool in this movie. There's a lot of this movie is like leaning on the relationships of the 3 main characters, but make no mistake about it, like, the tennis is also such a huge element of it. Like, it is like they make it cool. Trust me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Honestly, for me right now, so far, this movie is gonna have to be probably like second best of the year so far.
Yeah.
Just because I wasn't, like you said, I wasn't expecting it to be like this good. I was expecting it to be good,
right?
Obviously, because it's Zendaya, but I just wasn't expecting. I was kind of skeptical because I'd never heard really of any of the other actors apart from Mike. And that was only really from West Side Story. So I was kind of skeptical about, the other people in it. I wasn't really scared about Zendaya. But man, did they really all just deliver. Like, this movie was just so good. An amazing time. Like, all the suspense and awe and gasp and all that stuff just together just worked. It meshed so perfectly well in this movie. And honestly, just had such a great time.
Yeah, going back to what you were saying about the shots too, because there's like a conversation between... there went Thrawn. He just fell. There was a conversation between Zendaya and Josh O'Connor in this film, and like just the way that even just a conversation is shot in this movie, it just makes all the difference. And you can see part of that conversation I'm talking about in the trailer, but until you see it, like, I think this is such a theater film. I think people should go out and see it. Because like it really does look great on the big screen, and I would have been fine with the relationship aspects of this movie just on their own. Like, that was enough, but that extra sort of added layer of the tennis to it just makes it that much better. Like, that's the extra mile that it runs to make it one of the better movies.
A marathon.
No, for real, it really is. And yeah, you're like, wow, I just wasn't expecting this to be as epic as it was. I guess in a way.
It was honestly just like it was a roller coaster of a movie, man. It just had you in ups and downs the entire time, and kept you on the edge of your seat. The conversations, not even just between like Zendaya and Patrick or Zendaya and Art, but even the conversations between Art and Patrick were just like crazily, like all the conversations that all 3 of them had, whether they were together or just separately, man, were just looks speak more than even just words. And like a lot of the looks that they would give each other just like spoke volumes to me, especially the ones that like Tashi would give to Art and Patrick in this movie, man. It's just like, oh my goodness, man, they just like spoke louder than their actual words.
There's
man.
a lot of
it was just Yeah.
Great
It
facial
was
acting.
incredible.
Yeah, a lot of great
Yeah.
facial
Oh my
acting.
goodness.
But on top of that, and I love facial acting. I love when it's pulled off well like it is here, and it really is a lot of the time. But to even just add the fact that like the dialogue is great. Like it's very well written.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like every scene of dialogue is so well done.
Yeah, no, don't want to fault the dialogue, obviously, but just like the times when it was just like their facial reactions, it was like they were speaking, like they didn't have to speak because their facial reactions just spoke in and of itself. So
Yeah.
all of it was just like I said, all of it was just incredible, and this movie was just such an amazing time. And man, I'm gonna be rewatching this movie so many times, honestly, because it's just so good.
And I mean, the film is just super original, which is, you know, yeah, kudos to it for just being different and going out of its way to be different as well, on top of everything else. Let me throw this out there too. For anybody thinking about taking their kids to see this is a hard R. There were kids in my screening. This is a steamy movie, folks. Like, don't take your kids to this movie. This is not a kids movie. I'm just throwing it out.
That is, you know, what's crazy is that's the thing too. Is a lot of people were expecting this one to be a lot steamier than it actually was. Like it actually wasn't that steamy.
It wasn't as steamy as you might think it's going to be. But I certainly wouldn't take a kid to it either. I mean,
no. Yeah, still don't take. Still don't take your kids to it. But me, and I know a bunch of other the people that I talked to and stuff. Just based on the trailer, thought it was going to be a lot steamier than it actually was.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely still not one to take your kids to for sure.
I would say the steaminess, so to speak, it's not that it's not as steamy as I thought it was going to be. I was surprised of the areas in which the steaminess was let out, because the tennis almost becomes a parallel for it as well, if you know what I mean.
True. Yeah. No, for sure.
That's more or less.
I loved how they used that too. How the steaminess was like relative to the tennis as well, which
creative
was
steaminess,
incredibly done.
not
honestly,
explicit, but creatively placed. Yeah, and that's the thing about it. That's what makes it good. Is like you get this. There's a very steamy scene in here. You guys have seen it in the trailers. It plays like it's important. Like everything that happens is still important to what leads into this ending. Like it's not just there to be there. You know, like it's not. Right. Just sex for the sake of sex, you know what I mean? Like it's It goes in, it all plays into something, you know what I mean? And it all leads to something, and it's there for character development, 100%, and story growth, and all these other things, you know. So I was just so impressed with all the layers that were able to be piled on in this movie, and I gotta say, man, this one's like at the highest end of must watch that I can give it. That's my grade. I honestly. 100%.
No, I mean, I'd have to agree. It is definitely at the highest possible must watch. I mean, if you haven't seen this, what are you doing with your life? Go out and watch this in theaters before it's out of theaters. This is quite literally a theater movie. Like, watch it at least once in the theaters. Like, I understand, you know, times are tough and tickets are expensive, but at least go and watch it once in theaters, because if not, then you're just going to miss out on an opportunity of a lifetime, because like we've said, this movie is a theater movie, and it's just a completely different experience when you watch it in the theaters, honestly. So it's like with the Dune movies. Like, those are theater movies, and you need to at least watch them once in theaters before they're out of theaters, because they're just theater movies.
All right, fantastic, good review there. But yeah, no, for sure, guys, everything he just said there, I second, and make sure you do go check this one out in the movie theater. It's definitely built for the cinema. I really just enjoyed it myself, and yeah, I hope you guys all go watch it, because again, it's an original film, and definitely check it out if you're over 18 years old. Anyway.